The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Let's go! What's that? It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
9. Rushing forward, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line. Vaughn Miller did it again.
Alabama back on top of the college football world.
Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max. This is the NFL Week 7 preview edition. And of course, I am your host, Sean Garmer, and joining me here, Mr. Gary Vaughn.
What is up?
Yeah, so of course we are without Randy right now, but we did get good news that he should be back pretty soon, so that's good for all of us. But the NFL action starts bright and it was started on Thursday night with the Green Bay Packers, even without Eddie Lacy, deciding to run Ty Montgomery and Randall Cobb up and down the Bears' throats. It was kind of close early, but then Brian Hoyer broke his arm and out for the rest of the game. Matt Barkley has to come in, and you know what that's going to do to the Bears' offense. It's going to really sink it. They tried to stay in it all the way into the third quarter, but the Packers pulled away definitively.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you expected to happen once that injury took place for Brian Hoyer. I mean, I get it. You have maybe some hope that, the Packers offense still struggles if you're a Bears fan. But really, that's about all you can count on after that. The Green Bay Packers are still a talented team, and their defense, sure, has, kind of given up some things as of late. But for the most part, they've been decently solid, and of course, the offense has just been, I don't want to say atrocious, but they just had so many different struggles. And at the end of the day, when you look at this game, you see two teams that are not perfect. You see two teams that are definitely not at the right place, but at the same time, now you see that the Packers still are the better team, and they proved it here. You got to give credit, where it's due. And I look at this game and really think that, how could you really expect, the Bears to go on without Brian Hoyer? I mean, I look at Barkley and say, he's a decent backup, but he's not going to give you the chance to win the game, especially against a guy like Aaron Rodgers.
No, he's not. I mean, Barkley's pretty much unproven still. He's basically a rookie. He just never really had chances to play. To be honest, he's kind of just been a guy that's been a career backup right now. And Brian Hoyer was their best chance to win. He got hurt. And somehow Jay Cutler always lucks into these things. Right when there's a controversy of, we may not keep him around very much longer. Brian Hoyer might be the guy. And then, Brian Hoyer gets hurt. So now Jay Cutler has to step in because Matt Barkley's terrible. So it's so funny how this always happens for the guy.
Yeah, you feel bad. But, then again, for Jay Cutler, I'm sure he's sitting back kind of laughing, saying, ha, 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 I do it, I always get my job back. So
it's the same thing in Cleveland. I mean, Brian Hoyer could still have been there if he never got hurt the way he did, too.
Yeah, sure.
So, as I was trying to say before I almost caught myself skipping the Thursday game. This Sunday's action starts bright and early with 9:30 in the morning Eastern Time, 6:30 Pacific. I don't envy Randy at all in these days, honestly. New York Giants playing the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are technically the home team for this. The Giants do have history playing in London. They played in the first ever game. Of course, I think they've played in other games since then too, but who do you think? I mean, the Giants have been kind of on a little roll here. Odell Beckham played tremendous last game. Case Keenum's been playing pretty well. You got two tough defenses here. I'm kind of going with the Rams. I think they're going to bounce back in London and play better and finally get a win they haven't had in the last 3 tries.
It's funny you say that because, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. I look at the Giants as being, a team that has a potential to be really good. I feel like their defense has some great names on it that have some really, let's be honest, great ability. But on the offense, they have not been that offensive team we all expected them to be. With a lack of a real good running game, the Giants have really been put in a position where people just kind of single them out, and on the passing attack.
Really good running game. The Giants have no running game.
No, if I said really good, I meant the opposite because that's what I was trying to say. They don't have a really good running game. That's what I'm trying to say. Is they have to really go based on their pass attack, and now defenses are taking away that pass attack. They're not giving Sterling Shepard or anybody else. Even Odell Beckham just now had some success last game. And I think that just kind of goes along with what they were playing against. I don't think that it has anything to do with Odell Beckham just shining bright. I think he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but I think that was more about the talent level they were playing last week compared to this week where they're playing a good defense. And I think the Rams are going to rush Eli as much as possible. They're going to get in his face, and we all know what happens when that situation takes place, right? Interceptions, problems are going to start to build up, and before you know it, the Giants are going to find themselves behind. And I think that's going to be a situation. I don't know if this is a breakout game for Todd Gurley because, like I said, the Giants still have a defense that can stop the run, but I think Case Keenum can still have some success in this game.
Yeah, Case Keenum could, but he's also, not like totally Mr. Reliable either, and if they can get people in Case Keenum's face, it could equally turn that way. So this should be an interesting game to watch on that Sunday early morning slot. I'll be at work during that time. I'll get off during the middle of this game. The Buffalo Bills traveling to Miami. Last time Buffalo was in Miami last year, I remember Buffalo just absolutely wrecking the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins looked pretty decent against the Steelers last week, but we also got to remember Roethlisberger was not on his game, and the Steelers, I guess, were not prepared for Jay Ajayi either. He went over 200 yards. I just don't see the Buffalo Bills letting that happen, and Tannehill should do Tannehill things.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen here is you're going to see Buffalo take advantage of Tannehill and his,
I should mention LaShawn McCoy probably not playing in this game, though. So
I don't think that matters. Yeah, he's a giant part of that offense, but I still don't think that matters in this game. I think what's going to really take place is going to be who makes the most mistakes, and I really feel like at the end of the day, even when you look at the running games comparable, even with backups, I still feel like that Buffalo has a better running ability in this game. Their running game will be just a little bit better. But not only that, you look at Tyrod Taylor, and I think he's going to definitely take advantage of some things. Is it going to be a blowout game? No, not with McCoy out. It's not going to be. That Sean's exactly right. That's a featured player. At the end of the day, though, I really like Buffalo's defense. I've liked what they've done. They've beaten better teams in Miami. I think I'm going to put my trust in them.
I agree. Rex Ryan's such on a roll right now. I think you can put Gillisley in there. They'll be all right. And Tyrod Taylor's going to be hard to stop on the run. But, Tyrod Taylor's been running a lot as well. Could the Dolphins have a stout defensive front? They could cause problems. So, We'll have to see. It is a divisional game as well. But
I
I'm
think
going
it's
to
going to
go
be a
with
close
Buffalo.
game. Yeah, I'm going Buffalo, and I think a field goal will do it, but I think Buffalo wins.
Speaking of a divisional game, the Cleveland Browns, Cody Kessler's been looking really good. The Cincinnati Bengals have not been looking so good. Maybe I'm being a little bit bold here, but I think the Browns might actually. These two teams usually always play each other rough. I think Kessler's looked really good. I mean, I know McCown's getting better and he might play next week or whatever, but I think the Browns pull the upset here.
I like the optimism here, and for me, I'm not willing to bite and go that route. I think I'm going to have to still say Cincinnati's going to be the one that wins this game. I think you're right, though. This could be a closer game than really it should be, but it just really boils down to Cincinnati has just not reached that level that we all thought they could reach, and defensively, I think they're going to be able to handle Kessler. I think they're going to shut some things down. And I think offensively for the Cincinnati Bengals, Dalton, he should do fine. I don't think he's going to have too many woes at the end of this day.
We'll have to see. I think Joe Hayden is out for this game, so that's going to make it easier for Andy Dalton here. But still going to hold out hope for Cleveland. So still holding out that hope. This game should be interesting. Could be a shootout. Could be defensive. You never know with Washington or Detroit. It is at Ford Field. Because it is at Ford Field and because Detroit's defense has been showing up lately, I'm going to give Detroit the slight edge here.
Yeah, you know what? And it's also because Matthew Stafford has been playing so well. We weren't sure what was going to happen with Matthew Stafford, with Calvin Johnson not being around anymore, and what would he be able to do. And I think he's starting to come back into the groove, and I think he's starting to feel more comfortable. And you're right, Detroit's defense has definitely stepped up their game. I feel like Washington's an excellent team. I think that they've got some great things going on there. There's a reason that they've won 4 straight. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be more difficult to beat Detroit at home. And when Matthew Stafford is on, that's the most dangerous time. And I think that, they can exploit what, Washington's kind of suffered with on defense, and that's the passing attack. They've really been not really good, honestly. Despite the fact that Josh Norman's been great, the rest of that secondary from Washington has not been good.
Agreed on that point. Just, Kirk Cousins can get hot as well there, and you never know. Matt Jones goes off. That ends up being a big key for the Redskins doing well a lot of times. So the Indianapolis Colts travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Of course, the Titans with their big rushing attack. I got to go with the Titans here.
Yeah, I would so much love to sit here and say, yeah, I think the Colts are going to pull it off. And, they very well could be. This is, once again, a divisional game. These games are tough, and, let's be honest, they're the most hardest to predict because, the team that looks the best can also be the one that loses. So, but I think I'm going to have to go with Tennessee as well. And the reason being is because of that rushing attack. I think what's going to happen is, Marcus Mariota is going to play pretty well, but I think it's really going to be depending on DeMarco Murray, Derrick Henry. I think they're going to take all the pressure off of what Mariota needs to do, and I think they're going to find a way to win this game.
I think you do need to be careful here because you got a dangerously desperate Indianapolis Colts team here in a divisional matchup that they really need to win. So you need to be careful that that you don't get punched in the mouth. Andrew Luck puts them up early, and then Tennessee's working from behind. Tennessee's defense is going to have to step it up here like they have been. Keep that running game going. Do what you do. Tennessee should win, but just be careful with Indianapolis and the state that they're in. Same thing with New Orleans here, who did get a big win against Carolina, but now they have to go to Arrowhead and face Kansas City. I have to err on the side of this being in Arrowhead and the defense Kansas City has. I think Chiefs win.
Yeah, Randy says it all the time. You got to invoke Arrowhead, right? And I think that's the case here. I think Drew Brees is going to have some success, but I don't think it's going to be as much success as he's been having in the past. This is a different kind of defense that he's faced, and I think that maybe that high-scoring affair may be kind of more on the medium side instead of high. So I look at it as being a team game where really it's going to depend on what happens on Kansas City's defense and, of course, what they can produce on offense, which they should be producing anything they want because New Orleans' defense is really not that great either. So I'm going Kansas City.
Speaking of offensive display, the Oakland Raiders traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. This could be a shootout game, especially because we know Oakland team doesn't play defense at all. That being said, I kind of err on Oakland winning here.
It would be interesting to see Jacksonville win this game just because they have had some troubles. And last year, we probably would have said, oh, yeah, they can beat Oakland. But this year, I don't think they can do it still. I think despite all the facts that, maybe Oakland's defense is not that great and they've had some struggles, I just can't imagine that they're going to find a way and win this game. So I'm going to go Oakland here. I think that they'll pull off the victory, even if it's close.
Yeah, definitely, with Oakland, with that high-powered offense, they got Jacksonville does have a decent defense, but they also rely on their offense. I'd kind of rather trust Oakland's right now. Minnesota Vikings, the only lone undefeated team, traveling to Lincoln Financial Field to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are coming off another loss, but now they're facing the Vikings who have been red hot. I mean, I'm going to go with the Vikings here, but this is one you got to be careful because Philadelphia has a really good defense, and they could triple Sam Bradford. Of course, also a revenge game for Sam Bradford here going against his old team.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it, to see happen. But, at the end of the day, I look at this defense that Minnesota has brought, and it's going to be really difficult for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, to overcome that. We saw Carson Wentz under pressure last week, and it did not end up pretty. And I think that this was going to happen again. I think they're going to confuse Carson Wentz at times. I think it's going to put really this game in the hands of Minnesota's offense just to go out there and win. And I think that they'll be able to muster up enough to do it, especially with Sam Bradford having the extra motivation to win this game. It's going to be hard for me to think that Philadelphia is going to win it. But, this is also one of those games is an upset alert.
This is also one of those games that could be like 9-6. So,
bring your pillow.
Yeah, be careful starting fantasy people here because you may not get a whole lot. Carson Wentz may be throwing more INTs than touchdowns, and Bradford too. Baltimore, second consecutive week they've just been in the New York, New Jersey area because they placed the Giants one week and placed the Jets the next week. I wonder if that really ever happened before. But I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I know they had the unfortunate loss against the Giants, but the Jets are just in all kinds of shambles, and Geno Smith doesn't leave me any kind of better feeling.
Yeah, the Jets, man, they have so much talent, and it's a weird anomaly what has happened here with them. I just sometimes feel for them because it seems like they can't get over themselves, and they just can't produce enough to win games. And this game is really one of those that they should win. I really look at it and say, man, they should find a way to beat Baltimore. They can do it. They can produce. There should be a victory in their win column. I don't know that's the case. Baltimore is played very well this year. We've seen their offense actually do pretty well at times, and I did not expect that. Their defense, sure, Suggs is going to be probably out in this game with his bicep injury, so that could take a big toll on the defense. But you know what? I think they're going to find some way to win this game. I got to give it to the Jets, even though I'm not confident. I'm really not. Baltimore's been better than expected, but I got to give it to the Jets.
understand that one. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can really trust Flacco and those Ravens, especially their defense, on really being able to do a whole lot. So we move it along to a game that could be really, really interesting because we know San Diego loves to put up points, and so do the Atlanta Falcons in the Georgia Dome. Atlanta at home against the San Diego Chargers. I feel like this is one of those start everybody games.
Yeah, very much so, right? It's one of those games where you sit there and say, "Man, this is going to be a lot of fun." I look at it and I sit here and say to myself, "Okay, who in the end of the day is going to make less mistakes? Who at the end of the day of this game is going to find the way to get that last score to win?" And as much as San Diego has impressed me, and I think that they've done a great job. I mean, heck, they just beat Denver. I question and I wonder if we're going to see, kind of see Matt Ryan kind of come back to where he was and, score plenty of points. Julio Jones, he's just a handful. I'm not sold that the San Diego defense is going to be able to handle him. I think I'm going to put it in the hands of Atlanta to win, even though, once again, this is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in Atlanta's hands to win as well, just because I trust them a little bit more, that they won't blow the friggin' lead. But, yeah, just not totally confident about this one. And then you get this weird game, Tampa Bay traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. I feel like this is just a sucky game to pick. But I'm going to go with the 49ers. I hope to God Chip Kelly realizes that Colin Kaepernick this isn't going to happen, man. Just go back to Gabbert. You at least had something going there. Yeah, you were moving your offense and give your team the best chance to win. I'm going to pick the 49ers here.
Yeah, I am too. And it really boils down to Tampa Bay they have not played well at all. They have not looked good. When we look at this, I look at, the situations that they've been put in. Man, I mean, I would love to say Jameis Winston finds a way to win this game and help, his team, but I don't know. This year has not proven to be a good one at all for any of at either offense, defense, or even special teams. So I'm going to go ahead and say San Francisco. I think that they have a little bit better chance.
Yeah, their defense, I trust it more, and no running game at all for the Bucs right now. With both Sims and Martin hurt, I have to go with the 49ers for this one. So, after that, we have in the 425 slot on CBS, the big game. Well, it would have been a lot bigger had Ben Roethlisberger been healthy. Now you got Landry Jones against the New England Patriots defense, and Tom Brady going against that Steelers secondary. Patriots all the way.
Yeah. If we're talking about a different team, maybe you can say Pittsburgh, could have a chance. Not to this Sunday. Not against a Patriots team that is still out for blood, that is excited about this matchup, that they basically are going to come in here and expect to win, and I don't think they're going to have a tough time doing it at all. Let's be honest. Pittsburgh's defense is still struggling. They're still not doing everything that they need to do, especially in the pass defense, and that's exactly what Tom Brady is going to do. He's going to be passing on them all day long. So, yeah, Patriots.
Seattle and Arizona in a big divisional matchup on Sunday Night Football. I'm going with Arizona here. Not confident about it, but they've shown me a lot in the last couple weeks that they might be back to the old Arizona Cardinals. And in University of Phoenix Stadium, not the Cardinals usually play well there.
Yeah, they do, and I think that we saw a little bit of shakiness when it comes to the Seattle defense, last week, and of course we saw Sherman blow up. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to give Arizona the go-ahead for the victory, but I still Not real confident, and I think this is going to come down to, once again, who turns the ball over more. But I still feel like Arizona's got more momentum on their side.
Monday night football. Brock Osweiler returning to Denver since he left the team for more money. I feel like the Broncos are going to want to stump a mud hole in Brock Osweiler and make sure he does nothing in this game. I have to go with the Broncos here. Not that the Texans defense couldn't do the same to Trevor Siemian, but just saying.
Yeah, and I think that the Texas defense, still has some talented players. But man, you got to think about it. They just lost one of their better corners last week. They are without J.J. Watt, and I think for the most part, Denver is not perfect on offense, but I think they'll still be able to maneuver and work their magic. And I think that Denver defense is going to be on fire. I know those guys are going to be ready to play Brock Osweiler. They want to prove a point to him that he should have never left. That spells a lot of danger, if you ask me, for him. So I'm going to definitely pick Denver in this matchup.
Yeah, certainly. Had to pick Denver here, and that's all the games for this evening here. Shoot. We didn't talk about the... Damn it. Well, we might as well talk about it here, because we didn't talk about it on the other show. How do you feel about the Big 12 deciding that they do not want to expand after spending an entire off season and most of this season courting teams, making people think that you're going to go to 12 or 14 teams? You decide to do neither, and you stay at 10, all because ESPN and Fox go, hey, can we please not have to pay all these other teams and we can just buy out that clause and just let's keep the conference the way it is?
I don't like it personally. I feel like the Big 12 really needed to add to what they have. They've got some great teams. But
be the Big 12 again.
Yeah, exactly. Not the Big 10. I get it. It's about money. That's what all this is about. The NFL is about money, college football, college basketball, everything that has to do with sports and, of course, entertainment usually has money as being the center of the world. It never really revolves around coaches, talent, players. It's all about the money, and that's what this was all about once again. And, to me, I don't know if it really hurts the Big 12, but in a way I kind of think in the future it will. If you got teams like Houston who will join up with you and they are on the rise and you think that, man, that team could actually maybe go contend for a national championship one day, and you don't take advantage of that, then that means that you're setting yourself for failure, and then your Big 12 conference is going to be one of those conferences that, once again, never gets to have any glory, never gets to have a team go to the promised land, and that's not good. You want to make as much money as you can. For me, I think this is a short-term victory for the Big 12 because they just got more money for doing nothing. I think in the long term, I think it's going to cost them in other ways, and that's a team that could have been in the Big 12 is going to win a national championship, and then they're going to kind of feel bummed about that.
I think they're just delaying the inevitable because we're obviously headed to having big conferences. We're obviously headed to having the superpower conferences. It's going to happen, and the Big 12 could have really set that in motion, honestly, or at least really made this a thing. And I understand wanting to listen to your TV partners. I understand all of that. Okay, I'm not oblivious to the fact that matters, because obviously keeping ESPN and Fox happy is important. But it's not like there would have been no other TV companies wanting to come after getting Big 12 football or anything like that. And it didn't breach anything. It just makes ESPN have to pay more money. I think it would have been. I get it. They feel it waters down, but Houston isn't watering down your competition here. I don't think so. Like if you would have been able to add a Boise State and a Houston, I don't think you water down anything. I think you're adding to it, and
Mm-hmm.
having 12 teams there. Now maybe if we're talking about do we add 4 and make it 14, that's another topic. But to add at least 2 and make it the actual Big 12 again, I think would have been great, and I really wanted to see that. And perhaps it's because also maybe Texas thinks that they can just get Tom Herman and then Houston won't be anything what they are right now. And maybe that's part of it too. They think that they'll be able to price Tom Herman out of Houston and oh well they'll get him and they don't have to worry about Houston coming in. But still, I would have really liked to see Big 12 actually go back to being the Big 12 again. So that's now officially that will do it for this NFL edition of Football to the Max. We'll be back on your Tuesday morning for all the review of Week 7. Until then, subscribe to that WTM network. Check us out at WTMnet.com where we do the NFL Power Rankings each week, of course. And hopefully returning back to the fantasy stuff pretty soon as well. Until then, see you later, everybody.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.